taking the rear seat out is simply a matter of using those two little toggles which are here. And they just flick, as you can just see if I zoom in there. There's a little latch arrangement, you just pull them back. And you do the same for that one on that side. And the seat will wiggle out this way. You pull the seat belts through it, and that's where they stop. Then what you do is, you can see there's a bolt down the bottom that's there for that bolster on the side. You undo that bolter, and that'll then let you get into some other bolts, which I'll show you in a bit. Yeah, using a 12mm socket, as you can see, comes out reasonably easily. Now that the bolt's out, as you can see, no bolt, this here will just push down the seat so it comes out the way, and then this whole bolster, we lift it up and it pops out. There's that there, lift it up and it wiggles out. You can see that there's the upper latch that it was hooking into on the thing. Now I found that if you do that little lug, this lug has a screw in the boot, you can easily get to the 3 bolts, nuts that are up in the top here, which we'll show in a bit. Okay, just to show you that this one here was a straight pull out button. As you can see, it's a straight pull out. This one here though, there's a bit of a trick to it, in that it's a centre pin that you pop the centre pin out and then it can come out. So now I've loosened off those two here. As you can see, they're very loose. And also the one at the back, they're all a 14mm spanner, 14mm open-ended, or I used a socket. This one here I could get from the front, the other two I had to get from inside the boot. Now we do the wheel. Now I've just sprayed them with some aerosol grease type thing, like I said, WD-40 or penetrator or something, to soften them up. Now, for some reason or other, on this side it's 18. On this side it's 17. On the passenger side they're both 17. Don't know why, just the way it is. Now what I'm going to do is, they're very firm on, tight, so I'm going to be putting on an extension bar onto this one to give myself more leverage on a straight breaker bar. Once I start it off, then I'll use the ratchet. I was mistaken, they're all 17s, so what I've done is I'm just going to put this open-ended ring on this side, so I know when I've cracked it. Here's my breaker bar with my homemade extender. If I just pull, it should then open up. Now it takes a bit, 2 hands, so I'm just going to stop this. Now I've opened it up. As you can see, one hand does it, and then I can then just work with it with my breaker bar until the shifting spanner moves, and that'll be right. So I'll wait till I take those out and I'll show you the next step, or how I do it anyway. Okay, so now what I do is I take this out from here, it wiggles forward. That's the brake hose that goes to pull it down, and it wiggles out. Now what I've done is I've made both the nuts to flush with the ends of the bolts. So I'm about to hit here, and it hits the nut and the bolt at the one time to help drift it through this shaft. When I get one out, I'll put a screwdriver in to hold it so the other one doesn't take all the weight. Then I can get the screwdriver out later on. So now let's drift those out and I'll show you what happens. One after the other. Okay, with this one, as opposed to the other side had the nuts on this side, so the bolts could drift out into free space. This one, the nuts are on this side, so this bolt can drift out. This bolt though is hitting the brake linkage. So I have to undo that to get the bolt out. Bit of a bastard, but that's the way it is. Okay, so to get this out was the two bolts, one there, and it's a bit of a wiggle to get that off, and there it is sitting over there. So when I put these back in, I'll put them in from the other direction, so before I put them in I get all the brake calipers put back on and everything else, or I'll be doing the brake calipers after I got it on. We'll see how it goes with mounting it all up. Oh, just to remind you now, I'm going to drift these out, and if you don't know, basically I just use a screwdriver and tap it through so it'll tap that out. I'll do the same for the bottom one as well, and that'll tap out, so there'll be two screwdrivers in there we can pull out later on by lifting this up, take the weight and it comes off. Bit of a wiggle, and there it is, it's free of that. I've also taken the disc plate off for the moment, so like I said, when this is out the way, I'll reassemble all this before I put this back on to just make sure I got this right. Up there you can see the rest of it up there. I'll be getting that down in a moment. So all I'll now do is the three nuts at the top, which I've loosened off. I can just take them all the way out. Now you've done them, the one on the right there I was able to do with my fingers. The one on the left has got some tension on it, and the one at the back has got tension as well. So I have to use either my socket or my ring spanner to get both those off. Basically the last one I'm going to have to hold the spring up while I take it out, otherwise I'm going to drop and keep on pulling the thread apart from me. Just a bit of a trick, because that one at the back's a real bugger to get to. Take that out first and this other one on the right, and you can easily get to this one on the left to make it easy to get out, and also got more space to get to your spring strut arranged underneath. Now the wheel's off, we can see the strut assembly as it is up there. What we need to do is there's a little clip around here. You really can't see too well with this light factor, but it's the brake line hose. Basically it just pulls out this way and that brake line hose will move out the way. We then do these two bolts that are here, 1, 2, and we do the 3 up the top. The three nuts that are up the top there we loosen off now, and then we can go these ones down here. Okay, so there it is out of the car. Now we've got a little flangey thing here, some rubbers. This is the spring, this is the shock part that's going to be replaced. There's a boot there. Now I'm going to compress this up, take the knot off there, which is a real trick, and then put the other one in. But I'll show you at the end of compressing it all before I put the other one in, and also the difference about this particular section here, which is the part for the brake hose I was talking about. Now I've compressed the springs, as you can see with the spring compressor, and I'm trying to do that top nut. What I probably should have done is loosened it off a turn or two with the springs there to help me before I do it. Now I'm going to have to try and jimmy up between these studs here to hold the shaft that moves so I can do it. So I might get a mate to help me. Yeah, well I got able to get it off, and what it is, it's a Makita rattle gun. It's a 18 volt battery pack with the socket on it, and it just rattled it off quick as, no extra person required. That's what the thing is. So I'm going to be now putting it all back together again, bit by bit. So we'll do the wheels first, the plates, the brakes, then I'll put the shocky in and go from there. Now the wheel nut, the brakes are on, the stud's in. What I got to do now is I'm going to use my left hand to lift it up and get the stud nut up in here through the hole, all of them, put 1 or 2 nuts on it just to hold it up, and then get it in position. And once I got all those 3 up, firm but not really tight, then we go back and mount it all up down here before we come back up here and finish it off. Now the 3 nuts, or the 2 front ones up here are done. The back one there needs to be done, but I'll do that after I line this up. Now to line this up, what we do, we put a screwdriver or something in the hole and just turn it around until it lines up with where it's got to go, and we put the bolts in.